Hello, everybody, and welcome to Week 1, Day 2 of the ALS. Here with Brown and on him.
Hello, hello.
I'm Kinderspiel, and we will be your casters for the first two games of the day today. Which brings us to our first game of the day. Brown, what is it?
Our first game of the day is the Nancy Drew crew. Yes, against YasuHo. Yes, that's if I remember correctly. Nancy Drew crew is playing on the blue side, and YasuHo is playing on the red side of the map.
All right, we do have both teams ready to go in the lobby. So as soon as they're ready to launch this, we can get into this. So we do have a few subs. On the side of YasuHo, that guy is subbing. He had a pretty strong performance on YasuHo in the games yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see if Nancy Drew crew decides to target ban him and take that champion away.
There were a lot of really good performances. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of Kai'Sa bans today, seeing as how Kai'Sa, I think, was played in every game yesterday.
Right.
First ban out on the side of Nancy Drew crew will be Caitlyn. Saw several Caitlyn bans yesterday. She's always an annoying champion down in that bot lane.
She exerts a lot of pressure, which is kind of what people don't like playing against because of the extra range. The extra range is very abusive early, but tends to fall off later if she doesn't get ahead or go even. It's like very difficult to play from behind with her.
Second ban coming out for this game will be Fiora.
I don't remember if anyone played Fiora yesterday, but it's probably a target ban. The Aphelios is definitely more of the target ban because I believe the AD carry of YasuHo has been playing it in recent games. But Fiora will always bring that strong split push to a team, regardless of whether she's ahead, behind, or whatever, and she's an exceptional duelist with the amount of true damage she brings into her kit with a lot of mobility as well. So not a surprise to see Jax and Fiora, who both serve kind of like a similar purpose, to be target bans for the top laner of the Nancy Drew crew.
Yeah, YasuHo is really, seems like they're definitely targeting some of these hyper carry mid-late game champions for sure. It seems like they're not trying to deal with that this game. So Riven ban comes out on the side, and Diana will be the last ban of the first round. Always a good ban. You know my feelings on Diana currently.
Do you honestly think that the Diana is a good ban? Because I mean, even though Diana kind of underperformed yesterday, and we only saw I think 2 bans on it yesterday as well, the stats aren't lining up here with the dear Diana.
All I'm gonna say is this: every solo queue game that I go into, I'm ban Diana. That's all I have to say on the matter.
I don't know, but the first pick on the side of the Nancy Drew crew is the Jhin, immediately followed by YasuHo's bringing out a Nocturne pick, which is always going to put a lot of pressure out on the map, seeing as how Nocturne deletes squishy champions once he hits 6 and is able to easily dive onto these squishier champions with low mobility, as well as a Nautilus pickup to ensure that there is some very heavy engage coming from the side of YasuHo.
And we did see a Nocturne yesterday, and we were talking about how most of the Nocturnes recently you see a lot of them in solo lanes, like mid lane or top lane Nocturne. I can't remember what we saw yesterday, but it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do with this pick today, this game.
Yesterday's Nocturne was a Nocturne jungle. It was the same team actually with the Diana, and it underperformed because of the team comp of whatever was on the other team. It was like a really strong front line.
And they had a bunch of CC.
It was Sion and Leona, I think, was on that team.
Correct. You're right. So the last pick of the first round here will be Darius, presumably in the top lane.
I would assume in the top lane. I don't think I've seen him anywhere else, but we'll see. We'll end up seeing. People like to bring out a lot of fancy, odd new meta picks in this tournament.
Seems the Nocturne still could flex to mid.
The Leona taken away from the Nancy Drew crew, because they did play that yesterday and played it very well, actually.
And yesterday we did actually see a Rammus support, and I was in an exhibition game, but it leads you to wonder and keep your mind open to the possibility that they could pull something like that out again.
I wouldn't put it past them to bring that out.
As unorthodox as it is.
Unorthodox and definitely plausible to pull out into the field of play. It seems like only a support and a top laner are still needing to be picked, which the target's probably going to be towards the top laner. Which, as I speak, I was corrected in that assumption, which is where the Pantheon came in.
Correct. So the picks that still need to come out on the side of YasuHo would be mid and AD.
Impure.
And there it is, the Vayne. Always a nasty hyper carry that you don't want to have to deal with in late game.
I'm not entirely sure about the Vayne ban on the side of the NDC True Crew, especially when you start looking at like ruling out a Vayne top lane, because I know I see that relatively often when you pick into teams with double tanks like Darius and Nautilus, who are going to take a hot minute to shred through, and with no real percent HP damage yet. It's going to be interesting to see who they pick up, despite seeing the Ashe on the side of YasuHo. Shadow Jumper once again on the Yorick.
So with that Ashe pickup in the bot lane for YasuHo, it definitely adds the growing amount of CC that the team's going to have with Nautilus, who's just walking crowd control.
My only concern now with the team of YasuHo is the lack of AP damage, which will make it very easy for the Rammus and the rest of the team of the Nancy Drew crew to itemize against. Although I do believe that better team composition does go towards the side of YasuHo in terms of the Ashe being able to use Hawkshot to spot the enemy jungler wherever, and the Darius bringing the true damage as well as tankiness from that and Nautilus, and the straight up damage that's going to be able to come out from Nocturne and YasuHo to jump onto this Orianna, to jump onto this Jhin that we will see later into this game, into the mid game.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if Rammus decides to play more of a peel role on when this Nocturne decides to jump in or during these team fights, or if he decides to dive the backline and try to get a taunt off on a carry.
I still think it'll be relatively difficult unless YasuHo jumps onto him, because Ashe is going to perm slow him. Darius and Nautilus are going to be able to pull him away and keep Rammus off, but Nocturne is obviously going to be diving to the backline to see if he can find the pick on that Jhin, because I feel like Jhin is the only viable option he's going to easily be able to have access to and kill if Blitzcrank is not near him, or Rammus is not near him.
There was a last-second summoner spell change on Keen Gunman. He did opt to take the teleport. I was eyeing that, seeing that they're going for YasuHo to have 0 teleports, but they decided against that in the last seconds there. Probably a smart move.
It's going to be really interesting to see, like, the Darius into Yorick matchup. What do you know about that matchup?
Darius into Yorick? Not much. I'm not a big top laner.
Yes, that's my area of expertise. And generally what ends up happening in that lane, depending on the way that it's played, is if Yorick plays extremely aggressive early, he tends to lose it, because straight up fight against Darius, like coming down to auto attacks, does not bode well for Yorick. But if Yorick is able to kite Darius out and catch him in his little box and to spam ghouls on to Darius, he will end up winning that matchup eventually, especially once he hits 6, which adds an absurd amount of combat power to Yorick, despite Darius's true damage ultimate, which will take him a second to stack.
Yorick is one of the champions I feel like a lot of people underestimate, where he can turn into this split pushing threat that is very hard to deal with. But I feel like most people don't know exactly when that happens, and it can really sneak up on you when you're trying to pull something over on him.
Which we did see last time Shadow played his Yorick, because I don't remember, I think it was into a YasuHo was the last time we saw him do that, and he just kind of ran away with the top lane with it. But I'm more interested to see how bot lane ends up with the Nautilus Ashe into Jhin Blitzcrank.
That's just something that I completely went over my head, was that we were talking earlier about that guy on YasuHo, and he did in fact get to play as champion. So it'll be interesting to see if he can pull up another repeat performance and potentially carry this team.
Because I'm excited to see the YasuHo, because YasuHo always brings a lot of mechanical outplay to the game. So it's always fun to see how experienced a player is on those high skill cap champions like YasuHo, like Riven, like Irelia.
All right, the spectator delay is almost up, and we should be heading into this one. First game of the day.
Although it's not so much about us, what roles do you play?
Jungle and AD are really my two main roles, but the solo lanes are definitely my weaknesses, mid and top.
Yeah, I sit around with support and top lane as my go-tos, but we're looking here at the summoner spells now, and YasuHo did opt to go for Conquer into Orianna, and I know from a couple of other YasuHo mains, they tend to go fleet into this matchup, because it's what they tend to find is, especially against lanes that it's hard to stick to, like in Orianna, they tend to do that, but I think it'll be fine either way.
Should see. He definitely did apply pressure to that Kennen top lane. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll just see how he does against houses are on sale today. See how he manages.
Houses was a power player last time too, so I'm excited to see how these 8K Elo shockwaves taking it back a little bit. But we are seeing the electrocute Rammus, which I did not notice at first, actually.
True.
It's going to take away a lot of the tankiness from the Rammus when he's on his engages, but it will give him a good amount of burst damage. So I'm interested to see what kind of build that electrocute Rammus goes for, whether this was intentional or not. Just a couple more moments before we start fully loading in, getting right along with this.
Let's shoot at the interesting factoids that King George on his Rammus is the highest mastery in the lobby at 387,000. So now we know that.
That's one trick. That's kind of low in my opinion. I don't know. My million mastery points on Riven say otherwise.
Million on Riven. All right. So you're a Riven player.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You're one of them.
One of them, he says. Wow. So it's like that?
I mean, with Riven players, man.
I don't know. I have a couple 100,000 on Leona as well, but Riven is my hardcore top lane.
A quick fun fact: one of my best friends in high school went over and hung out at BoxBox's house several times.
At BoxBox's place, wow.
Yeah.
I would like to meet to BoxBox in that aspect. Yeah, everyone says he's such a nice guy too. Like the people, like his friends and the people who know him all say that he's a really nice person. So I figured
I never met
get an interview with him actually.
It appears we're having a particularly lengthy load, but it looks like we're finally getting into the game now.
AKA someone's toaster was extending the game. But this is fun.
It's fine. We're in. We're good. Match starting. This is Nancy Drew crew on blue side versus YasuHo.
Got Ben Lucius, the AD carry, on the side of the Nancy Drew crew with houses are on sale in the mid lane. King George is the jungler. Frisky Boots as the support and Shadow Jumper 098 as the top laner against Forcey and Anarchy for the for YasuHo and as the jungler, Hacksaw as the support, Keen Gunman as the top laner with Lethal Tempo. I didn't notice that. The Lethal Tempo Darius. He really wants to stack those autos early. Blitzcrank Cook just falls short early, and I was still going through the roster, but they really could not wait, could they?
Try to get that early invade in, get cheesy with the blitz, but they were spotted out. We'll have to retreat back to their own jungle.
Not any significant warding placed either. Just some casual river wards. And just to finish off the roster, we have Charlier in as the AD carry, and that T8 live, which I'm assuming is supposed to be that guy, as the mid laner. And laning phase starts off. Mid lane, nothing too serious. Auto attacks put onto the minion waves. Buffs going buffs to buffs, starting on both bot sides. Rammus on the red, George is on red.
Now it is interesting that YasuHo has got they do have a ward on the red buff if Rammus decides to do anything cheesy on that side of the jungle, which is probably not going to happen, but they would spot that out.
Now, that ward was placed by Keen Gunman, which means he will not have a ward for the majority of the laning phase and through the usual gank window, the typical gank window for top lane, which is around from the 2:30 minute mark to about the 3:30 minute mark.
Early on, it seems that guy's taking a little bit of harass from this Orianna. That much traded back.
Yet the wave is pushing towards the Orianna, which means she will have complete control of the wave here and have the option of pushing the wave for a fast push, or just doing a little slow push here and allowing it to pile up and crash so that guy's YasuHo can't trade back into her. King George is spotted on the bot side ward, ward.
Bot side, there's some action going on, but Strength seems to step too far forward, and Frisky Boots got a little bit too frisky there with that play, as he will fall for first blood. Seems as King George is doing a little scouting, potentially trying to do a little counter jungling, but we'll find nothing.
It bows upon touch.
All of those bot side camps are cleared, and not.
Yeah, entering mid lane.
Anarchy's looking for a gank in the mid lane. The Q goes out, but nothing seems to come of it.
Yeah, House Around Cell just kind of said, "You can't catch this," and he walked right away.
A little bit of deeper ward to spot Anarchy a little bit sooner in case he decides to come back. Placed by houses.
Could be potentially some contest on the Scuttle Crab in the top river here.
Another bot lane fight's popping out. The Dredge line did connect it, so did the Blitzcrank Hook. But nothing seems to come out of it. No extra summoner cells were used aside from the Ash Flash from Charlier.
Yeah, both flashes are down on this YasuHo bot lane, so if Rammus could look to get a solid gank on there and get a taunt off on a priority target, could definitely secure a kill.
Taking another look back in the top lane, seems to be going kind of as I had expected. Darius with the early game pressure, it's really difficult for Bjork to find any when the auto attack war will not be won by him. So a single pull will end up in at least half of Bjork's damage with it before Bjork can properly trade back and rack up the damage through his goals. Taking another look down at the bot lane, and another rocket grab goes out. It does not connect, but the wave does crash into YasuHo's bot tower. Now we see Nocturne on the bot side here, so he may look to solo Dragon, but he also may be looking towards a gank in the bot side. But a lot of possibilities because he is kind of low with a little bit of low mana, so I don't believe that either of those two things will be happening. So we'll probably look to just take this, look for the crab and back. Pink board placed by YasuHo's support Hacksaw onto the dragon to make sure that there's no sneaky play going on, even though not to the knowledge of YasuHo, but Nancy Drew Cruz Nobramis, aka George, is topside. He may look for a gank here.
Yeah, King George had just cleared that ward. He was just topside. He cleared the ward in the river bush, and I think he's coming back on that window to see if he can make something happen.
King Gunman is stepping up, and this might turn into a big problem. Shadow Jumper is 6, and the Maiden is out. It looks like King Gunman will not be getting out of this one alive. Flash burn from Shadow Jumper to pick up the kill on King Gunman with the last rites.
While that was happening, houses are on sale. Did have to flash away from the Nautilus roam in the mid lane, but he did escape with his life. Dragon is up. You would assume that YasuHo will be turning their eyes towards that.
Another rocket grab lands onto Charlier's Ash. Another fight is breaking out. Bangush is forced to flash out, but both AD carries seem to once again escape with their lives, despite both supports landing hooks.
Both teams gathering around this dragon.
Bangush and Frisky Boots are looking in a little bit of a bad position, standing a little bit too close to Anarchy's Nocturne. But Hacksaw did posture aggressively, but did not go for the hook, surprisingly, despite having the better numbers advantage there. Bangush is seen.
Bangush is trying to back on this pink ward right now,
which draws the attention of Anarchy. But
I was looking at that, I was like, wait, am I looking at this wrong? I was kind of confused for a second, but
nope, you definitely saw that, right? He last coned himself into the dragon pit and decided to back on a pink, or to start backing on a pink ward. But Bangush and Frisky are back in the bot lane with the wave pushing towards their tower, and Frisky might look for a hook here despite everything. If it lands onto Charlier, it could spell a lot of trouble for her. He is looking for it. King George goes in and is able to connect to Charlier, who goes down, and the rocket grab on to Hacksaw misses, which means he will be escaping with his life.
yes, cost the flash from Hacksaw, but I'm sure that's a fair trade that he's not disappointed to take. You look at the CS numbers in this top lane now. York has actually pulled ahead of this Darius.
Despite being down about 12 earlier.
Shadow Jumper roaming down to this mid lane. Looked like he had something going on that guy, but the outplay will come through.
It forces the TP from Darius, but Shadow Jumper biting off a little bit more than he can chew and expecting to be able to fight the YasuHo at that point in time with the Maiden.
And this is the pick that I was talking about that I was really excited to see how it was going to work out. The YasuHo, that guy's YasuHo play was a pretty strong pick in the game yesterday. And it seems like he is looking to make a repeat performance.
King, Gungman, Anarchy, and Hacksaw, aka all of the members of YasuHo, are looking towards this dragon, and it doesn't seem like the Nancy Drew crew is in any position to respond to it.
So they should actually just take that dragon for free. They're not going to lose really anything around the map.
Hacksaw does choose to back to base here, hopefully picking up Moby Boots to quickly get back into lane, but it doesn't seem like that was... Oh no, he does pick up the Moby Boots, reducing the time it takes for him to get back to lane by about 15 seconds.
Just about 10 minutes into this, the gold lead is almost identical. Or the gold amounts are almost identical. Pretty even match.
Anarchy seems to be looking once again towards this top side, although King George is in a position, if he paths towards the river, to counter gank Anarchy. Anarchy is level 7, which means his ultimate is also up.
Can engage in the mid lane.
Really big play.
trying to dive. Houses are on sail, but the shockwave will connect onto Hacksaw. Not to walk away with the sail between his legs. There has been several roams from this Nautilus up to this mid lane trying to take out this Orianna. They've all been unsuccessful.
A play going to the side of Nancy Drew's bot lane because of the roam from Nautilus, allowing them to push into the tower and grab the plate for an extra 6 gold.
Forcian is still lurking around this top side. There is that
King George.
bush.
King George does find that guy's YasuHo again, but is unable to connect a Powerball and a taunt. But Anarchy's Nocturne does try to ult onto the Orianna and nothing comes out of it. He's immediately peeled off by the tower.
See, Hacksaw did roam up again in his mid lane. He's really trying to make something happen.
Off shot burn from Charlie, which means that there was only one more to potentially spot any jumble roams from the Ash. Anarchy is picking up that top crab.
Nautilus ult came out on the bot side. Full engage on this Blitzcrank. Looks like they probably will end up securing that kill. Question is, can Jill?
But the return kill by Bush's Jhin is able to actually pick up the 4th shot onto Hacksaw's Nautilus, and the teleport coming out from Shadow Jumper allows him to put the cage down on Ash, which Bengush doesn't pick up the 2nd kill.
Nancy Drew was able to turn that 0 for 1 into a 2 for 1.
And Shadow Jumper is not done yet. He's looking to take this tower by summoning the Maiden and to push the lane with her into this tower. It looks like Nancy Drew might actually be able to pick up this tower because the way the tower aggro works is it'll target the cannon minion before it targets the Maiden, which allows her to stay a lot longer. And especially with the large minion wave, looks like a double minion wave onto that tower, there's nothing really stopping the Nancy Drew crew from taking their bot tier tower, despite Darius, Keen Gunman's Darius, and Anarchy Nocturne dropping the Rift Herald in top to trade back.
Yeah, well, Nancy Drew crew was making that play bot side. YasuHo decided to take that opportunity to take this Herald and try to get something back. Looks like, despite the first tower gold bonus, they will manage to do so.
The same type of order of tower aggro also persists through the Rift Herald, where the towers will aggro first the cannon minion and then to the Rift Herald, allowing the Rift Herald and anything subsequent to last much longer.
There is not a lot of vision control around this dragon pit, and that next dragon will be spawning in just under a minute at this point. So we'll be looking to see if Force the Anarchy will be heading down towards the dragon and try to get some control.
What's really interesting here is how Nancy Drew crew has their bot lane up on the top side despite dragon coming up within the next minute. Will they send Bengush and Frisky back down to the bot lane to establish priority over this dragon? Because having Shadow's Yorick and House's Orianna, as well as possibly King George's Ramus, will not be enough. Will that be enough to answer that guy's YasuHo, to answer Anarchy's Nocturne, to answer and Gunman's
Although it does seem that Charlie and Hacksaw were both passing towards the top lane. Although they do seem to be turning their attention down towards the dragon. But will they get there in time? Dragon spawning in right now. Looks like Nancy Drew crew's gonna try to burn this one down. It's like, well, they will have no problem, but the engage comes in.
Nearly steals the dragon, does not get it, but the Asher Arrow goes out, Anarchy escapes with his life, and Bengu's already going down. It looks like YasuHo will be cleaning up this fight with a 4-0, despite not getting the dragon.
It was so close to stealing that dragon too. If Forcian had been able to take that dragon and the 4-0 exchange, that would have been a complete blunder on the side of Nancy Drew crew. But at least they got to have their consolation prize, which was that Earth Mountain drag.
I don't know. With the extra wave coming into mid, it looks like YasuHo will also be picking up this mid tower as well. So not only did they lose 4 on the side of Nancy Drew, but they're also going to be losing a tower as well. which opens up that gold lead a lot. They're looking to put pressure on the second tier tower in mid, but quickly back off as NTG crew responds in 10.
Yeah, they are now up to... Oh, looks like they may be catching out Force the Anarchy here. Staying a little bit too long. Will go down. Windwall seems to be stopping the rest of the skirmish.
That guy's YasuHo keeping his team safe with them. But they do still pick up the...
King George is looking for more blood. Will land the taunt onto the Nautilus. Not the best target. But he will go down. Oh, but the YasuHo on the 2 members.
It seems like Bangush's Jin is really starting to pick up pace now that he has completed his Stormrazor.
He has a lot of gold on this Jin. 5 kills, 2 assists. Just as it was looking like YasuHo was about to take over this game, NTG comes back with vengeance.
Shadow is splitting into the bot lane, sacrificing the maiden to the tower.
NTG is looking to finish off its mid turret before resetting. Looks like they will be able to get it. Lands hook onto Force the Anarchy, but Spell Shield will counter that. So taking a look at that guy's YasuHo, he really is beginning to pop off again in this game. Another 5 with 5 kills. It's really a lot of the goal is between him and Banguchi on this Jin.
CS lead is still on the side of YasuHo on that across the board, but although the CS differences are minimal, the exception of Anarchy's Nocturne being up a little over 20 CS.
It's interesting to see where they're rolling out from this reset, because they have King Gunman running up towards the top side with Baron, while the NTG crew's bottom outer turret is still out, and he does have teleport advantage.
Baron's not for another 2.5 minutes, but getting establishing mission control just in case, because York does exert enough early damage and pressure to be able to take that Baron at with the maiden.
That guy being chased down by King George now in the bot lane. He may be able to get shut down into this YasuHo.
It doesn't seem like he's able to find it despite landing both the Powerball and the Taunted Frenzy.
So the Herald has respawned now. YasuHo is looking to take their second Herald of the match. While the NTG crew is closing in on the location.
Shadow Jumper is there, and a huge shockwave coming out from Houses of Oriana will end nearly with Haxor and Charlier almost losing their lives. Nocturne owning in immediately gets blown up, and now King Gunman is by himself in a 1v4 situation that ends in his death to Frisky Oops.
And that guy is still in this bot lane trying to push out this outer turret. I really think it would have been better if YasuHo had sent Team YasuHo had sent that guy to the Herald to fight for that fight and have King Gunman be able to teleport in if need be.
Shadow Jumper looking to... That really wasn't even a fight. He kind of just beat him over the head with a shovel and called it a day. 4 ghouls, and that fight started out with Shadow landing his E with 4 ghouls, which chunked out that guy's YasuHo really hard, and then just bopped him over the head with a single Q, and all of his health was gone.
Yes, now NTG crew is turning their heads towards this dragon, to be their second dragon of the game. It's really kind of interesting. Just as YasuHo was really opening up this game, they jumped out to a 4,000 gold lead. The NTG crew really quickly just got right back in this and now seems to be in control of the match.
While also picking up a Cloud Dragon for themselves, which is 10% extra cooldown reduction, which means that if the Maiden is killed, as well as the Oriana Shockwave, both of those will be on a much significantly shorter cooldown, which is huge.
20 minutes passes. Baron has now spawned in.
Once again, if you're just now tuning in, this is the first game of day 2 of week 1, day 2 of the ALS series. With the Nancy Drew crew against Team YasuHo.
So Shadow Jumper is pathing towards this top outer turret to try to knock that down. Get it out of the way. YasuHo was grouping up mid looking for a potential fight, but looks like they're now going to try to respond to this split push by York. Nancy Drew crew is now starting up the Baron actually.
I did say that...
Two members bot.
They switched 2 members bot and also popped the Rift Herald down in the bot lane. But it seems as though that YasuHo doesn't really have an answer. I did say earlier that York does exert a lot of pressure and is able to burn down the Baron relatively quickly with the Maiden out, which seems to be
Ash Arrow's coming in.
Ash Arrow connects to Lucius Jin, who is pulled by Darius.
The red team stole the Baron! YasuHo stole the Baron, forced the Anarchy, old sin. Oh my goodness.
It doesn't seem that it's going too well for the Team YasuHo anyway, because they seem to be getting run down despite having stolen the Baron, which is huge in the aspect where now
Charlie's now crashing the Herald down onto the inhibitor, which is the counter side of this. So they're now going to get a free inhibitor, and Nancy Drew crew will not have the Baron.
A lot of kills traded, 4 kills traded to the side of Nancy Drew crew, but at what cost? Nancy Drew crew lost bot inhibitor due to Ash split pushing
And an inhibitor for the Nexus turret.
And a Nexus turret. They lost their entire bot lane and a Nexus turret to Charlier's Rift Herald play, where they just pushed down the entire lane for 4 kills and a lost Baron.
That is a very interesting, I don't know what you'd call it, a very interesting turn of events that you don't see very often, honestly. Fighting over Baron while the Rift Herald is coming down bot lane, like a base race sort of situation. It's quite interesting.
It is not the play I personally would call, but I think that the Nancy Drew crew is still in a position to do very well. The only Baron left on the side of YasuHo is on Charlier's Ash, but they now are forced to answer the bot lane with the super minions pushing into the base constantly, and only one Nexus tower to deal with them.
Should be interesting to see if YasuHo is able to take back control of this game with the pressure they've now putting onto this bot side.
York is a very good champion to answer super minions with the Maiden, because the Maiden's percent health damage occurs every 2.5 seconds, if I remember correctly, is magic damage. And super minions are weak to magic damage, so he makes very quick work of super minions. And alongside the fact that his ghouls are constantly spawning with every single minion death near the Maiden, he always has minions to attack.
YasuHo might be catching out. Risky boots here. Not quite gonna land the hook. We'll walk away. It's interesting that YasuHo is opting to pressure this mid lane. It looks like they are indeed trying to target this top inner turret.
And hold the control over Nancy Drew crew's blue side jungle. They're able to put some damage down on the tower. But staying a little bit too long, Shadow Jumper does end the life of Anarchy's Knock, with only trading Frisky Boost and Blitzcrank in return so far. But with the ultimate coming out from Jin, doesn't seem like he will be finding any kills. With Oriana, House's Oriana has left to deal with the super minions in bot lane.
See, while undermanned, Nancy Drew crew is able to repel this push despite having to deal with super minions coming in the bot side of the map. So really not looking too good for YasuHo here with their inhibitor play.
Losing an inhibitor this early actually might work in the favor of Nancy Drew if they're able to repel it this way and keep this up.
Trying to get some bush cheese here. Really kind of almost shredding through Shadow Jumper there. YasuHo.
But it seems like he's not done yet.
Oh, gets the ultimate off. Darius will fall. Oh my
Shadow
god.
Jumper will escape with his life despite the 5 bleed stats. Ashow's coming out of fight hit him.
Oh my goodness!
It did kill from across the map.
From downtown.
YasuHo is not done just yet. They are going to pick up this next Cloud Dragon.
Arrow coming in from Charlie's Ash to snipe Shadow Jumper. So that was YasuHo's second Drake of the game. Ties the Drakes up at 2-2. There's going to be a Dragon Soul. It's not going to be for a while, although Charlie may be getting caught out here.
Rock Grab is still on cooldown, but it seems as though Hacksaw stood a little bit too close to everybody else and just ended up trading his life away for free.
Potentially saved Charlie's life, because Rammus may have been able to chase him down. But, alas, they still lose one member.
And like I said, if the Nancy Drew crew does repel this super minion wave with the downed inhib, it will end up actually being in the favor of Nancy Drew crew. Because what ends up happening is, since it's not the 30-minute mark, I don't believe that, no, it passed the 25-minute mark, which means that cannon minions will be in every single wave, but a lot of farm will be headed towards the Nancy Drew crew through that bot lane, because then a lot of lost farm to YasuHo, because the super minions will continually push into that bot lane. And seeing as how they fully repelled it, all of that extra gold that they were able to squeeze out of the bot lane because of those super minions is now on the side of Nancy Drew crew. And it was funneled onto the Yorick, onto Shadow Jumper's Yorick, and onto House's Orianna.
Inhibitor has respawned.
Fight possibly breaking out. Charlie using the Ashe ulti to disengage, yet he re-engaged from the with the YasuHo ulti. The Orianna Shockwave does blow up, and 2 members of the YasuHo do go down to that.
And a Shockwave coming out from Orianna really just turned around that fight.
And they are not done yet. King George goes and taunts the YasuHo, and the flashing hook does land from Frisky Blitzcrank, causing almost an ace. The only members left standing is King Gunman's Darius.
And just like that, Nancy Drew is looking to take down this Nexus on this play as they do secure the ace onto King Gunman.
King George, the only one going down on the side of Nancy Drew crew, as they will pick up this inhibitor.
Hacksaw has indeed respawned, but have nothing to say about the inhibitor on here in this mid lane.
It will not be enough, and now, with nothing else going on, they are looking towards the bot lane to see if they can pick up that tower before they back. I personally don't know if that's quite the play to make. I would think it's very risky with everyone respawning about now, but we will see.
Looks like there's fire knocked down here.
I would say that tower melted. So now
is up.
With all the extra objectives off, they're going to clear out.
So Team YasuHo is heading directly towards this Barren Pit in order to get some control. You'd expect to see Nancy Drew crew reset and head there straight away themselves.
It is the only neutral objective on the map currently, alongside the Scuttle Crab, which is coming up shortly as well.
And the outer turret, the outer top turret for YasuHo is still standing here 30 minutes into this game with just a speck of HP. As
I wouldn't be surprised to see Shadow Jumper's Yorick just walk up to it and cue it.
Probably should get that out of the way.
One thing that is definitely worth mentioning is the fact that Shadow Jumper's Yorick is once again 3 levels ahead of his lane opponent.
And sitting on a massive 7 kills. Definitely a huge threat in any
Triforce, Sterax, and Randuin's all completed, looking towards something with a chain vest. It could be a Guardian Angel, could be a Dead Man's Plate. But this all comes back to the very beginning of the game, back in Chancellor, where YasuHo decided to draft an all-AD comp, which I did say would play a huge factor in this game.
Not a lot of members from YasuHo around this top side here. like out of position really to defend this push potentially.
Causing King Gunman to go down, giving Team Nancy Drew Crew all the pressure in the world to make this play happen.
He's making his way back with his team.
The depth charge just coming off the Nautilus. And it seems as though YasuHo has repelled it, but a rocket grab does end up with the death of that guy's YasuHo.
That is a big loss.
They're looking for more. The curtain call coming out does drop 2 people on YasuHo, which gives Nancy Drew Crew all the pressure in the world, especially after killing the Nocturne for the ace to pick up another inhibitor. But will Nancy Drew Crew end the game here? Because it looks like they will.
These death timers are so long, 30 seconds. Definitely gonna be the end here. They coulda.
And there's no way that King Gunman can even remotely defend against 5 people, even under both towers.
So it will be Nancy Drew Crew picking up their first win over YasuHo, bumping their record to 1-1.
A very clean and solid performance from both teams. It looked a little shaky there on the side of Nancy Drew Crew when they lost that inhibitor and that Baron, but it didn't matter because they turned that into another lead that spiraled into their victory.
Yeah, really, as soon as that inhib came back up, it seemed like all the pressure and all the control of the map was really gone for YasuHo. And
I
it
think
was really Nancy Drew Crew's game to win at that point.
And I always felt that it was a ticking time bomb with the way that the team comps were set up because of the full AD comp. YasuHo did not have any answer to, like, AP answer to these champions. So all that Nancy Drew Crew had to do was stack the armor, which they very much did. Look like even taking into account the Yorick himself, he had a Randuin's, Ninja Tabby, and an extra chain vessel as well. That is a total of 130 armor, and that's not even including the base armor that he has. So then you have your Zeke's Convergence with 60 armor, Righteous Glory with 30 armor, Chain Vest with an extra 40 armor, and the beat goes on. My point being that all of the armor that was built on the front line of the Nancy Drew Crew made it extremely difficult for anybody on YasuHo to put down any significant damage, which ultimately was their downfall, if you were to ask me.
Yeah, and on top of that, the two carries, that guy and Charlie, both built crit builds. So the Randuin's on York was really just one of the huge reasons why he was able to just ignore large amounts of damage coming out from the side of YasuHo.
But there you have your game 1 between Team YasuHo and the Nancy Drew Crew, with the winner being the Nancy Drew Crew. And up next, we have a little bit more in store with Endgame versus Legacy Ambassador.